Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anjani and today I wanted to create a video on how I started my own nonprofit as a high school student who had no idea what I was doing. So I wanted to make this video because I know a lot of you out there are really community oriented and want to create a change in the world but have no idea where to start. And trust me, I was in the same exact position when I wanted to start my nonprofit. It's definitely a risk, but it's a risk worth taking if you're really passionate about something and you will do anything to help create a change. So, starting off with the origins, so if you guys didn't know, some information about my nonprofit is that it's a 501c3 organization supporting those facing period poverty and homelessness. And I'm really passionate about the issue of period poverty in general because I grew up in an Indian family and there's a lot of stigma associated with periods. And that's kind of what inspired me to start this nonprofit, is because um, the fact that a lot of people don't even have the option of speaking up, and I had the option to do something about this, and that made me even more excited to create a change and just do anything in my power that I could to alleviate this issue for other people. And that's the number one tip I have for you when you start off this journey of creating a nonprofit, because it's scary but it's so rewarding if you are genuinely passionate about it. And I think just take a few days before starting it to just think about why you're so passionate about the issue, what makes you so inspired, and what makes you so excited to start creating change in that specific industry or that specific issue. So, a lot of people have asked me in the past how I came up with the name Code Red and how we started the mission of even doing all that we do by providing kits to people in their daily lives. And for me, I think the biggest thing was that I really wanted to bring back dignity to the people that we were serving. And I didn't want it to just be like some donations that were kind of thrown disorganized it just into people's hands. And I wanted to make sure that we had a cohesive theme so that when people received our kits, they would feel not only just respected, but feel like they mattered and that we cared about their well-being, if that makes sense. So that's how we came up with the idea of providing kits filled with essentials to their daily lives. And these kits are really organized and are really clean, and we just want to make sure to be providing that premier experience to anyone. We came up with the idea for Code Red after, first of all, Code Red is what they say, of course, when there's an emergency, like Code Red. But there's also a deeper meaning to the red, of course, because periods are red, and um, there's not much to explain there. This might come as a surprise, but actually, our nonprofit wasn't officially 501c3 registered until we were 2 or 3 years into already establishing it. And that was because we didn't want to put tax exempt status on our nonprofit for no reason, especially if we weren't going to have too many people working on it. And for a little bit, when we were just starting off and building it, it was just me and my co-founder who were really working on it at this together and really grinding. So we didn't feel like we needed to put 501c3 status on there. But it was only after we needed to apply for government assisted grants and we started growing and getting traction is when we decided to put the 501c3 status, because it would actually support us back in the way that we needed it to. And then the other reason why 501c3 status is good to have is because then you as a nonprofit can provide other people who are volunteering for you with official service hours, which can be traded in for the volunteer award, which are like the presidential awards and things like that. Um, and the process for filing for 501c3 status is not that difficult. We did it on an external website that I'll put right here, and I highly recommend that site. It was very reliable. It did the job really fast, and our EIN showed up soon after that we used that website to do it. So, because the actual paperwork for filing for 501c3 status is pretty complicated, and we just didn't have the time or just the desire to go through that whole complicated process. So this was just easier to do, and that's also what I recommend you to do. Okay, so now I want to talk about actually making an impact and show that nonprofits shouldn't just be a title for college apps, because I know that in today's day and world, a lot of people just start something to put on their resume or just to say in an interview. And let me tell you right now, starting a nonprofit is not the right thing to do if you want just a title on college apps. And I'm not just saying that because it's easier for me to say because I started one already. It's because I know the amount of time and effort that it takes to actually start seeing results and to start seeing an impact. And if you're not willing to put in the time and the effort for that, I don't know if your nonprofit would succeed. If you're just doing this for something to put on a college application, there's a lot of different extracurricular activities that you can do, but starting a nonprofit is not what I would recommend because you're going to feel burnt out if you're not really in it to win it. And it frankly doesn't work out if you don't care enough, because there's so much work that has to go on behind the scenes that you have to be authentically yourself. And soon enough, if you're not authentically yourself, your skepticism will show and your nonprofit won't succeed the way that it should. So, one thing that I did to make sure that my nonprofit wasn't just performative was that for the first year that we were established, the main thing that we did was just figure out what we needed to put in our kits. And that was by speaking with the people who were actually impacted by this issue. So, we went on multiple Zoom calls with nonprofits across America and then across the world, essentially, to figure out what we needed to put in our period poverty and homelessness kits. And we learned that things like wipes were not often donated to these organizations, but things like socks were really common items. And that just shows that sometimes you got to think outside of the box, and what you might actually expect isn't true. So then, because of that information and because of meeting with the actual people who we were giving the kits to, we were able to ask for those specific donation items. Okay, now I want to talk about funding and resources. Overall, I'm happy to say that we raised a total of $15,000 to date. So we have raised a good amount of money through these avenues. So the first one would be donation drives. Donation drives are a great way that we were able to supply our kits with the items that were needed, because people would donate used clothing, people could donate things that they got at the store, and it was just a great community initiative to have. We had donation drives with local libraries, we had them with local schools. We also had some sororities donate to us as part of their philanthropic programs. So that schools and libraries are great community centers. Those are all great ways to initially get products themselves. And I will say, sorting through donation drives the products that you get can take lots of time, but it is worth it because you can mass produce kits really fast. And at least that's what we did. We made, on average, 300 kits per drive we did. So it was really great to see the impact of the community when everyone came together. And it also improved the kits that we got to give out for our nonprofit. So that was a huge way that we were able to raise money. And then I highly, highly recommend applying to as many grants as possible. So grants are a whole nother story in terms of getting them, sometimes the requirements are really specific to even apply to grants. So that's why it's a little tough to find the right ones. But once you do find the right grants, it is so fulfilling to get them. We've had grants from companies like Hershey's, from Taco Bell. Um, we've even had smaller community-based grants, $500 grants, $100 grants. And over time, even though they might seem like smaller amounts of money, they really do pay off. And I believe grants are the reason we were able to get so far, is because some items are just simply not things that people are willing to give to on in donation drives. So they're the only way that we can really get them is through getting money from grants. So that's what I have to say about grants, is that they're very useful, especially when some of the items that you're asking for are kind of niche. Okay, the third avenue of funding that my nonprofit used was sponsorships. So, sponsorships are basically when you get products or funding from other organizations to support your organization. And we reached out to a company called Period, and they had lots of menstrual products and menstrual cups that they would send to our addresses so that we would be able to include them in our kits. And that was another way that we were able to make our business model more sustainable as well. So, also, never underestimate the power of your own community. Reach out to literally everyone you know. Post on Instagram. Ask your parents to post on WhatsApp, on their Facebook groups. You never know who is looking to donate or support young people with a cause. And yeah, just try getting the word spread out as fast as you can, and um, the support will definitely roll back in. The last section I want to talk about is balancing school and nonprofit work. And of course, as high school students, we're really busy with our day to day lives, with our academics, and everything like that. So I think my biggest tip would be to have an organized calendar with all your meetings and all your time commitment tips, all of asynchronous work, everything together on your calendar or on a to-do list, somewhere where you can access everything. And that's how I was able to manage both the schoolwork and the nonprofit work at the same time, with other extracurriculars as well. So yeah, I think just have a really good schedule and stick to it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was so fun for me to film and add a bunch of tips, and hopefully you guys also enjoyed the pictures that I inputted along the way. Code Red was such a fun and fulfilling journey to have for all these past 4 years, and as I continue into college, I will still be continuing Code Red. It's definitely an adventure with lots of ups and downs, but at the end of the day, I'm so glad that I did this, and just seeing the impact that it has made has is just incredible to me. Um, but the biggest lesson that I've learned from this journey is to always ask and never assume what your community needs. There's a lot of things that, as nonprofit leaders, it can be easy to just assume about people or about the nonprofit, but make sure to always go out of your way, to always put in the hard work in order to get to a final goal. And eventually your hard work and your determination to make your nonprofit succeed will definitely come back to you. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you have any more questions about how you can start your own nonprofit in high school, link them down below. I'll definitely respond to as many as I can. See you in the next video. Bye.